Mr. Henley, the basketball coach, that was allowing behavior that I could not tolerate on a basketball court, wasn't real happy with me, so I wasn't surprised that he transferred and went and joined the high school staff. And I think he did a good job. Mr. Henley was a good man. But he, I guess, thought he had to put the best basketball players on the floor. And no, not that they're hoodlums. No, they're going to make us out to be a hoodlum school. No way. But anyway, in the spring of that year that he had already arranged his transfer, a gentleman appeared on campus, rough looking, poorly dressed, didn't appear to be properly groomed. Maybe it was because he's just such a big ugly guy, I don't know. But he was the kind of football player that if I was on the opposite side of him, I'd say, good Lord God, spare my life, because he's going to eat me alive and there's nothing I'm man enough to do about it. He didn't make a impression as a professional reporting to a school where he was going to teach. And when school started the next year, he didn't make any better impression. Well, you know, so what? If he can teach, and if he can coach, and if he can do what he needs to do. So, you know, I go to visit him just like I visited everybody early on in the school year, and didn't like what I saw. So it wasn't long until I was making pretty regular drop-in visits to see, and the man, if he knew how to teach PE, he didn't demonstrate it. If he knew how to relate to junior high kids, he didn't relate it and demonstrate it. If he knew any level of how to use the King's English, he didn't demonstrate it. So, you know, I began to wonder, what in the world, how did this man get a college degree? How did he ever get by Dr. Romine? And I should have called Dr. Romine and expressed my concerns, but I didn't. I assumed he had been the one to hire that man, and I have no reason to believe he didn't, but I'm still doubtful, and over the years I wondered, you know, every school district has its rabid sports nuts, and I wonder if the football establishment bootlegged this guy in some way and sort of hoodwinked Dr. Romine into accepting the fact that we want him and you've got him. But at the time, I began to feel like, you know, this kid needs help. So I sat him down, tried to talk to him about the fact, you know, you need to do some self-help here. You need to do some study on a whole range of things, how to teach PE, how to relate to these kids. Get your old textbooks out and study them, or go to the library. No response. Well, then I tried the approach that, you know, we've got staff members that do just about anything to help a fellow staff member. Pick you one or two of them. Maybe a fellow PE teacher here, or like Mr. Henley over at the high school. Get some help. No response. Well, you know, if you're trying to help a guy and you get no response at all, and you see that this is a bad thing for kids, oh man, you begin to document and move towards non-renewal. So fairly early in the second semester, so that be no misunderstandings, I called him in and, you know, made an appointment during his planning period. He sat down in my office. I'm across the desk. Probably would have been with anybody, but certainly with that guy, I'm going to be across the desk. And I'm telling him, you know, I'm going to recommend non-renewal. And boy, he said, you don't understand at all what's going on here. He said, I'm not here to be a PE teacher in a junior high school. They're just holding me here until an opening develops in high school football. I'm here to coach football. Well, I had learned somewhere along the line, little investigation I suppose, getting hold of his papers and looking at them, that he had been a starting lineman for one of the colleges, I don't know, North Dakota, Montana, South Dakota, I don't know, one of the small state colleges in a state with a fairly low population. Well, I said, you know, I don't think that's true, but all I could tell you is I am going to recommend non-renewal. You can't do that. Yes, I can do that. And he got loud and I got loud, and all of a sudden, knock, knock, knock on the door. I get up to go over there to open the door and see who is urgently pounding on the door. I don't need to get there. Jay Sandoval, all 140 or 45 pounds of him, our wrestling coach, popped his head in and said, "Hey, you guys, I'm trying to teach Spanish next door, and if you're going to fight in here, take your fight somewhere else. I need to teach." Boy, he was gone, and Coach looked at me, I looked at him. He got up and was the gentleman. He left. And I guess whoever was his godfathers didn't have the power. He got non-renewed, and the last I heard, he was selling insurance to college kids. I don't know. Didn't make any effort to keep track of him beyond that. But we did get a very good PE teacher for boys the next year.